very good evening and thank you for being with us tonight on the Technovation Show. My name is Yvonne Kimuma. I'm glad you could join us. Now, tonight we explore a topic that is close to many hearts, mine included, and that is building a career. Most importantly, building a career in STEM within the country and in the diaspora. Did you know that STEM, that is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, are disciplines that single-handedly drive innovation and growth across various fields? Yet, most Africans, even Kenyans, struggle to break into these fields. According to a 2020 UNESCO report, less than 25% of higher education students in sub-Saharan Africa are enrolled in STEM-related courses. The World Bank further estimates that Africa needs 2.5 million engineers and technicians to meet its development goals. But a mismatch between education and industry needs has left many graduates struggling to transition into practical roles. The challenge is not just about education but also success. While STEM skills are in high demand, only 1 in 4 students across Africa has access to the internet for learning, compared to nearly universal access in developed countries. The gender gap in STEM is also glaring, with only 30% of the global STEM workforce being female, and in Africa, cultural biases and a lack of mentorship makes it even harder for young women to break into fields like engineering, AI, and data science. Even for those who do manage to gain STEM skills, breaking into the job market is another uphill battle. In Kenya, for example, engineering graduates often struggle to find internships or secure roles that match their qualifications. The startup ecosystem, though vibrant, also presents its own set of challenges, with 90% of African startups failing within the first 5 years, mainly due to funding and mentorship gaps.
My name is Joanne Marime. I am a career and confidence coach. But before that, my day job is in technology. I'm a software engineer by profession, and I work as a senior program manager at Microsoft in the US. And I work in the cloud and AI space. So I like to say I'm a subject matter expert in that space. And I'm extremely passionate about helping, ambitious professionals just like myself to land their dream jobs, to make more money and lead fulfilling lives, because I have been one of those people that has been incredibly blessed. But at the same time, this wasn't always the case. So I'm super passionate about just, reaching out to those students that I once was, and seeing, and just people in general, from all walks of life, be it you're an African, you're an American, whatever you are, it doesn't matter, but just young people in general, and educating them and helping them to really break not only into tech, but whatever dream they have, I want to tell them that they can be able to do it. So, yeah. Absolutely. So, man, my story is so crazy because I look back on it now and I'm like, I can't believe I went through all that. But, again, I think I couldn't change it even if I wanted to, because that made me who I am today. So just like you, I was born and raised here in Kenya, and I lived in Kenya until I was 30 years old. I'm 38. I'm turning 38 on Friday. So super excited about that. I mean, 30s rock. But anyway, let's go back to my journey, right? And so, like everybody else, I was always, an A student. My parents are teachers, so in that household, both of them, there was no failing. So I knew I was always a smart kid, right? I went to all the right schools, I did all the right things, at least I thought. So, right? And so I went to the Alliance, people like to say, okay, and I'm going to say that. So woot woot, all the Busharians out there. And then I went to Jaquat, right? And I thought for sure when I finished my computer science degree, I'd get right out there and the world would be my oyster, right? Boy, was I wrong. Like, that did not happen. So I graduated, and then all my peers, I was looking around at myself, and everybody got a job. But I didn't. I went into banking for about 2 years. Now, I was working at Barclays Bank of Kenya as a collections officer. And I did that, and unfortunately, around that time, that's around 2011, 2012, the banking industry started having some sort of upheaval changes, just like the tech industry is having changes right now, right? And the first thing that happened is they decided to let go of people, and guess what? Last in, first out. So we were the first people to be let go. All my cohort, all of us were unemployed. In just like 1 second, all of us were out. And now the real struggle began, right? So I'm, 22 years old, 23, and I'm thinking, man, like, I can just apply, right, and get jobs. That did not happen. I like to call it my Joseph moments. In the Bible, I'm a Christian, and I believe a lot of people are Christians, or at least they've had the story about Joseph, right? And he had tribulation until he was 30. And that was literally me. And so I get out of school, and I get out of this job, and I start applying for jobs. Nobody taught me what the secret was, right? There's nobody who teaches you in Kenya in particular. We are told, get your degree, get your papers, go and get some internship somewhere, and somehow everything should work out, right? No, that didn't happen for me anyway. And so I'm out there and I'm struggling. So I started applying for any job. I did all the jobs you can think about. I worked in a warehouse in Dandora. I lived in Kibera. I've lived, name it, in this city. I've lived it. And so I kept wondering, what is wrong with me? Because when I look at my peers, I was at the top of my class. So there's no saying that I wasn't smart, that I didn't study. But then there's just something that I simply did not know that others seemed to know. So in parallel, at the same time, I was applying for, to go to the States as a student. And guess what? I was denied. So rejection became the name of the game. Like, I was being denied everywhere, from the jobs to what. Man, I remember crying so many times. I used to go back and I was on people's couches. My friends, my brothers. I was just couch surfing from one person's couch to the next, to the next, to the next. And that was hard. And I remember, when I was working at the warehouse in Dandora, and I was like, wow, like, people used to be like, how are you surviving out there? Because it's dangerous. People say it's dangerous. But for me, nothing ever happened to me. And I believe it's by the grace of God, but at the same time, it doesn't matter. There are good people everywhere, right? I don't want anybody to say because you're born somewhere that you're a terrible human being. No. I lived there, I worked there, and I was fine. Right? And then so fast forward when I'm 29. And so this is a whole story, but I'm going to cut it short, right? I had applied to go to the States 6 times. And I'd been rejected 6 times. So you can imagine when you walk the walk of shame from Gigiri, I call it the walk of shame because, man, it's shameful. You have that, what I call the pink slip from the embassy, and you spent money. Remember, this is money you're scraping together. So you've paid for this whole interview thing, and then you get there and you're given this and you're told, try again. And I'm thinking, God has abandoned me forever. So in parallel, I'd also been applying for a green card, right? And so that's how I ended up in the States. The first thing I was told on day one, which I'd never had before in my life, is that you are here, you think you're here to get a degree, but actually you're here to get a job. And I was like, okay. And they said, yes, because you've paid a lot of money to be here, right? You've paid over $100,000 to be here. That's like legacy money. So if you have paid all that, then our job, you have to get a return on investment. Has any school that you've ever gone to here in Africa or even in Kenya told you that? No. They tell you you're here to get a degree, right? So one of the things, so that was like, what kind of school is this? First I was like, what kind of school have I come to? Because these people are not serious about education, right? I'm like, yo. But they were like, listen, we know by the fact that you're here and we accepted you, because it's very rigorous to get in. Because we've accepted you, we know you're smart. By default, we know you're going to pass the exams. But it's not just about passing the exam. It's how do we make sure that at the end of it all, you'll say that's the best thing I ever did. That's why I'm saying there has to be a different take in how it can't just be about money. The university is making money. It has to be about, okay, as you're making money, how are you helping your students get a return on investment? So there I am in this school, and it's week 1, and I'm thinking it's supposed to be kind of getting into school, right? And understanding I'm in a different state, I'm by myself, I moved from my sister to a totally different state, so it's like a different country. Again, it's hot because it's in Arizona, 100 times as hotter than this, because it's in the desert, literally. And so I'm like, where am I and what is happening, right? Because I thought in America America was like supposed to be very, I don't know, snow, but I went to the desert. Anyway, so there we are, and I realized I'm gonna fail. If I don't do something differently, I'm gonna fail. So I didn't depend on just the career coach that was at school. I said, I'm gonna find myself somebody who's done this thing, and I'm gonna pay them, and they're gonna show me how to succeed. So I ended up getting this African-American lady, and I'm so grateful. Angelique, I always tell her, hey, you know what, we're still very good friends today. And she told me one thing. She told me, Joanne, you're a black woman in America. First of all, nobody had ever called me a black woman before. So that was like, oh, wait, I'm a black woman? Okay. And then she says, things are different for you. You're gonna have to work 10 times harder than everybody else, right? And also adding the fact that you're African is also another layer of it all. Because now I'm not African-American, I'm African. So again, you're gonna have to do things differently. And from the get-go, she said, today, let's start working on your resume. So we worked on my resume. I had a CV that was like 5 pages of nonsense, which had to be reduced to a 1-pager. And she told me by next week, this is week 1 of school, you're gonna have people coming to recruit. So you have to be ready. So I had like a boot camp on top of everything else we were doing in school. We had like a whole week of a lot of activities so that we could get to gel as international students and with Americans as well. So the school does a really good job of making you guys integrate together and work together as a team. And so we fast forward, and companies come on campus, and I'm shaking. I'm very uncertain, but I say, this lady is looking at me. I've spent my money, so I have to get a return on investment. And I'm like, and she says, listen, I want you to go. There's a career fair that is happening, and it's happening in Philadelphia. It happens in a different city every year. So it's the National Black MBA Conference. And she says, you have to go because it's geared towards black people. And you're a black person, and you're a black woman in America. So you gotta go. And I say, oh my God, I'm not ready. I don't know. I don't have the money. The things we like to say. I don't know. I'm broke. She said, listen, I will do one thing for you. I will sponsor the conference itself, the ticket for the conference. You figure out the rest. So I go to Philadelphia. This is like 2-3 weeks after starting campus. So everything is brand new, and I am shaking. But in that meantime, she'd really tried to kind of prep me. What should you do? How should you walk? How should you talk? What should you be doing? How should you wear? Like everything. And by the way, I had orange hair. And, I felt like I was looking ridiculous. But then I look back on it and I realized that, no, I was just myself, right? And so I thought my orange hair would work against me. I thought everything would work against me. And that voice that we all have, the imposter syndrome inside of us that tells us, you're a black woman you're a girl from Yamira. Who cares about you, right? So I go to the conference, I get there, and we have other students, and it has over 10,000 people, like a lot of people. All of us had a little tag saying which school you're from. And my tag said Arizona State University, right? And I was looking at people's tags, and they're saying Yale, Harvard, all these Ivy League schools. And I mean, Arizona State is a great school, but it's not Yale, and it's not Harvard, right? And so the imposter syndrome hit me, and I was like, whoa, my gosh, I'm about to die. Like, this is, like, I want to run and go in the opposite direction. I remember going to the bathroom crying for 30 minutes, and somebody came and knocked and was like, are you okay? And finally I was like, okay, I have to wipe my tears. I wiped my tears, and I said, if I go back, my sister will sacrifice me. Like, she'll kill me because she paid for the ticket. And this lady paid for what? The conference. So I literally did it for them. I said, at least let me go in. If they tell me no, I can hold my head high and go back and say I tried. So I went in, and guess what? And that's why I say faith is super important, and don't let that voice, because that voice that was screaming loudly, I believe that was the devil's voice because it was not God. The moment I just got brave enough to step into that conference hall, every place that I went to, and I gave them my silly, I look at that resume and I call it a silly resume, but I still have it. They said yes to me. They said, do you want to interview right away, now? And I ended up getting out of there with an internship offer, because how it works in America is the first year you get an internship, pretty much like here. Then this course is a 2-year course. I was doing my MBA in finance and international business at that point. So the first year you do your internship, so you get the internship for the next summer, and then after that you come back, complete your course, and go away. And hopefully when you were at the internship, you got an offer, right? So I did all my stuff super early, remember, from the get-go. So I ended up getting an internship right there. And by the way, Microsoft was there as well. They did offer me a spot, but I chose to go with ExxonMobil at the time.
Now it is time for our first break, but do not go anywhere, because this conversation will continue right after the break. Engage with us on X at KUTV_Kenya, at Kemuma_Munari. We'll be back.